They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and in the early 2000s, The Simpsons took this to heart, making several games that are very much inspired by the more popular games at the time. You got Hit and Run, which is clearly inspired by Grand Theft Auto, and then there's the less popular Simpsons Skateboarding, which tried to replicate the success of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. But the game I'm going to be 100% completing today is the Simpsons Road Rage, a game so heavily inspired by Sega's Crazy Taxi that they actually filed a lawsuit for patent infringement. That case ended up settling out of court, and that's good, because to call this just a Crazy Taxi clone isn't doing the game justice. I mean, yeah, it is a Crazy Taxi clone, but I would say it's the best Crazy Taxi clone. There are some subtle gameplay differences and new mechanics that helps Road Rage distinguish itself as its own game. And of course, if you're a fan of The Simpsons, you're gonna love the characters and the dialogue.
Take me to Grandma's world. I'm horny.
So in today's video, we're gonna be 100% completing this game, and as always, I'll be hunting down all the achievements in this game using Retro Achievements, a platform that adds achievement support to tons of classic and nostalgic retro games. And in order to get them all, we're gonna have to get good enough at the game to get the highest rank on every map, earn enough money to unlock every character, clear the game's mission mode, and pretty much see everything the game has to offer. And unlike most of the games on my channel, I've never actually played this game before, so this would be a first time experience for me. Though I'm not going in completely blind, as a few months ago I did a video getting all the achievements in Crazy Taxi, which was one of the hardest achievement sets I've ever completed, so I'm hoping that those skills will carry over to this game. If you're new to the channel, my name's Nostalgic Juice. I'm on a quest to play all the nostalgic retro games from my childhood and get their retro achievements. So if you enjoy achievement hunting, 100% completion, and challenge run videos, then make sure you subscribe because I upload a video just like this every single week. With that said, let's hop in and start our journey through the Simpsons Road Rage. Since I'd never played this game before, I decided to get my bearings in the mission mode. This is basically the game's story mode, not that there's much of a story here. Mr. Burns created these nuclear-powered buses which are radioactive and not good for the public. So Homer decides to turn the family car into a taxi cab. And yeah, that's it, that's the game's story. There's not much to it, it's pretty much just context for why everybody in Springfield is signing up to be an Uber driver. There are 10 missions to complete, and each of them are pretty much the same thing. Really, this is less of a story mode and more of a tutorial if anything. I mean, the first mission is just delivering a single passenger to a destination. The other type of mission is having to destroy a number of targets. There really isn't much to these. Mission 8 was the only somewhat challenging one. We had to run over all these log piles, and usually these types of missions are generous with the time and number of targets. But this one decided to make things harder all of a sudden. You can't miss any logs, and you actually have to do a little backtracking to get them all. We figured out the best method is to take the left path when the road forks, and then when you get to the point where the two roads meet, go backwards to get the log pile on the road that you didn't take. Then turn around and continue down the path to complete the mission. And then the last mission was a little bit tricky as well because the camera pans out, so now you have a top-down perspective. And that was a little bit off-putting, but the time is pretty generous on that one at least, so it wasn't too bad. Aside from these two, the missions are pretty easy, and we get an achievement for every one that we finish, so we're already at 10 achievements down. But the real gameplay here is the Road Rage mode. If you're familiar with Crazy Taxi, then you already know the basics here. The goal is to pick up passengers and deliver them to their destinations. If you deliver them quickly, you get a time bonus which extends your game. If you're too slow, the passenger jumps out and you get no bonus. And the game's over when you run out of time, and then you get a rank based on how much money you earned. There are a few differences though. This time there's no bonus for drifting or jumping or weaving through traffic, you just keep earning money as long as you have a passenger. And you get to keep the money earned even if they jump out. But there are two more big gameplay differences which sets this game apart from Crazy Taxi. The first is the Safe Driver and the Road Rage bonuses. You have the chance to earn one of these every third passenger you pick up. For the Safe Driver bonus, you have to deliver the passenger without hitting more than 3 other cars. But the more fun one is the Road Rage bonus, where the goal is to destroy every obstacle you see on the way to their destination. If you manage to achieve either of these goals and deliver the passenger, you get some bonus time and money. What's weird is the safe driver bonus is only worth $250, but the road rage gives you a whopping $1,000. Which I think is weird because safe driving is a lot harder than hitting everything in sight. I guess the logic is you might have to go out of your way to hit obstacles, so they had to make it more rewarding. In any case, these bonuses are going to be crucial for getting the top scores. You can manipulate which bonus you have the chance to get though based on what passenger you pick up. These passengers will always give you the safe driver bonus, and then these passengers will always give you the road rage bonus. Personally though, I managed to get most of the achievements in this game before even learning this. I assumed it was just random and didn't realize the pattern until way later, so it's not something you have to go crazy about keeping track of. We also pick up a few achievements for these too. One for getting our very first safe trip bonus, and we also got another one for doing it without hitting even a single car, and then another achievement for getting our first road rage bonus. To get to the highest rank of Madman, we have to earn $15,000, and that is not an easy feat. For starters, we have to set the game difficulty to hard because we earn more money that way, so it's pretty much a requirement to get these scores. But that means we only start with 40 seconds on the clock, so we have to be really fast and get those time bonuses. And the driving in this game is a bit quirky to say the least. It's kind of like when you're playing a game that's not a driving game, but there's that one driving part, or maybe like a Mario Party minigame. It's very simplistic, there's no complex techniques like in Crazy Taxi. You go forward with X, backward with circle, and then you can do a little drift with the square button. The simplicity makes it incredibly easy to pick the game up, but the janky mechanics can offset that sometimes. It's not really that bad for the most part, but it's far from perfect. That's fine. Yep, yep. Perfect. Good. Yep, we're good. Yep. Alright, we're good. Yep, we're good. We're good. Yep. Okay, 10 seconds left. Okay, alright, we're good. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're running out of time. Okay, so I don't think we're making it out of this. Quirks aside, the key to getting high scores is really learning the maps. The finger guide is useful, but it won't point you towards shortcuts. And there are a lot of shortcuts that are essential to utilize. There's also these blue bus stops, and destroying them adds 2 seconds to the clock, so it's a good idea to keep an eye out for those as well. In my first attempt, I didn't even make it to half of what we needed, so clearly I had a lot of room for improvement. But we at least got an achievement for reaching our first milestone of $1,000. All of our money from each game adds to our pile, and every time we get enough for a milestone, we get to unlock either a new car or a new map. And these milestones go all the way up to $1 million, which means we have tons of grinding ahead of us. But I really do like this because it makes all the failed attempts still have a purpose. Every dollar is slowly chipping away at our $1 million goal. And at first, these milestones are popping almost every game. My next run, I ended with a little over $10,000, and that got us an achievement for crossing the $10,000 milestone. And by my third attempt, I was finally starting to get the hang of things, and I managed to cross the $15,000 mark. Of course, I do enjoy going for high scores, and we still need all the money that we can get, so I kept the run going for as long as I could, but ultimately it was ended by Mr. Burns, who's another mechanic that sets this game apart. Mr. Burns will occasionally show up and try to ram into you to slow you down, because our taxi service is bad for his nuclear bus business. Speaking of which, the bus will also sometimes make an appearance, and I love the concept of these vehicles chasing you around and trying to sabotage you, though they don't really make too much of an impact in this game. They're easy enough to dodge for the most part, although sometimes they do manage to get in the way. Move, bus! No, my passenger! Bastard! Yeah, I got him still. I still got him. You're not stopping me, stupid bus. No, get out of my... Stop! I ended the next run with $16,000, which was enough for our first Madman achievement, as well as our next milestone for reaching $30,000. And I had to do a few more rounds after that to get to the next milestone because I've been picking cars instead of maps for our unlocks. So I got up to $50,000 for another achievement, and then we unlocked the entertainment district. This map ended up being one of my favorite ones. All of the maps have different styles. Some are more open with long drives, and others are dense cities with multiple roads. I feel like the entertainment district is a nice balance. It's bigger than the first map, but it's not too big. There's plenty of shortcuts and roads, but it's not too complicated. Everything on this one is just right to me. But it still took me a few tries to learn all the shortcuts and get our madman run, and along the way, I picked up another milestone achievement for reaching $75,000. And it was a very close call, but on my next attempt, I managed to get our madman rank. Oh, I'm gonna miss this.
Might as well walk from here. That's the spicy meatball.
No, we were so close! Wait, get in! Yes! Oh, get in! Mo! Oh my god!
No questions, all right?
That might be it. We might be good. Yes! We just barely got it! Oh my god! We just barely made it. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Woo! Man. Oh my god, we were cutting that so close. And that run was enough to get us to the $100,000 milestone, which means we can unlock our next area, the Springfield Dam. This map has some very long drives, and it's the one that I got the most lost on. There's this jump across a broken bridge, which is easy to do from this direction, but the guide arrow likes to point you down that same road going the opposite direction, and I can never make that jump. So I ended up wasting a lot of time getting tricked by the guide arrow on this one. There's also some very long and open drives across the dam, and that's just a bit boring. Imagine a driving game where you just go straight on a highway the whole time. But at least in this game, you can make your own fun. I think you can just send them flying. That's so stupid. Watch out, Marge! Why is she standing right back on the road in the same spot as if I'm not gonna do that again? After a few attempts, I reached the $125,000 milestone, so we got another achievement, and then I learned that you can actually go flying off the dam, and that's a bit of a shortcut if you have to go back down the mountain. You can also drive back up the dam, which is just crazy. It looks like that shouldn't be possible, but both of these are pretty big time savers. In the next run, I was cutting it really close. I kept almost running out of time and just barely staying alive, but I picked up this guy with just 2 seconds to spare, who ended up being the last passenger I needed to get to the $15,000 for the madman rank. And thanks to the big shortcut, I dropped him off and actually got back 20 seconds on the clock, so that just shows you how important these shortcuts are. I managed to keep the run alive and get my best score yet of just over $18,000, and of course that's more than enough for the madman achievement. I played another round for enough money for the next milestone achievement at $150,000, and that unlocks the next map, which, judging from the comments on retro achievements, people consider this to be the hardest level. Personally, I found this level to be the same difficulty as any other level, but mistakes can be really punishing. There's parking lots that are gated, and the guide arrow likes to point you right into the wall, so if you're following it without realizing that you have to exit the parking lot, you're gonna lose a lot of time. There's also not that many shortcuts on this map either. The key here is just remembering what locations require you to navigate through the parking lots and then not getting stuck in them. There's also one drop off in particular going to the stream that's really slow, and I figured out that sometimes it's actually not a bad idea if you have time to spare to simply ignore the drop off and go find another passenger instead. I also learned that even if you run out of time on a passenger, if you manage to get to the destination before they complete the jumping out animation, you still get paid for the drop off. And this really comes in handy because as you get later into the run, it feels like these passengers give you a lot less time to work with.
I'm sorry, but you're just too slow.
Oh, I'm too slow? Is that why I got the fast bonus? It did take me a few more tries than normal for the madman on this one, so maybe this level is the hardest one. But once I hit the $200,000 milestone, I decided to unlock Professor Fink's car. I was told this is the best car in the game, and at first I wasn't really noticing a difference. He felt a bit faster, but not significantly faster. But on the very next run using him, we absolutely crushed it. Not only did we get the $15,000 we needed, but we kept the run alive all the way to $25,000. And the only reason why I lost is because I got stuck in a parking lot. I feel like if I didn't do that, I could have kept that run going forever. So that's another achievement for reaching the madman rank. And you would think I would have reached another milestone by now, but as we get later into the game, the milestone achievements become less common, so we had to run a few more games before unlocking our next one at $250,000. And that unlocks the downtown map. This one's full of tight city roads, and there's also a lot of bus stops on this map that add time to your clock. Oh my god, another one! Oh my god, another one!
It's okay. Car crashes turn.
Another one! Oh my, there's so many of these! And while this doesn't apply to us since we're on the PlayStation 2 version, if you're playing the Gamecube version and hunting retro achievements, there's one on this map for knocking off the head of the statue while using Bart. By this point though, we're pretty good at the game. It only took us 2 attempts to get the madman run on this map. And I feel like I still haven't even learned all the shortcuts on it, but just general game knowledge and using Professor Fink was enough to get the required score. So after getting our next milestone for $300,000, we unlocked the final stage, the Springfield Mountains. This one's really similar to the dam level with all these long drives through the woods. There's also this big jump across the gorge, and the minimap pranked us here because this one looked like you had to follow the road to get back, but that just leads to a dead end, so we ended up having a run that ended in just $5,000. Someone in the Twitch chat said that originally they planned to connect all the maps together, but the PS2 and Gamecube just couldn't handle it. So I guess that's why the minimap lied to us. But again, since we got this game down by now, it's only a few attempts before we get our madman rating. And this was our final one. Unfortunately, this is where our achievement hunt starts to become a bit of a grind. We still have several milestone achievements to go all the way up to $1 million, and this isn't a case of retro achievement developers artificially adding in grinds for the sake of grinding. Getting to $1 million is considered beating the game, and that's when the credits roll. But there's just not much more to do in the game at this point. Don't get me wrong, it's a great game, and I really enjoyed it up until this point, and I was even happy to keep it going for a while after this, trying to set higher scores. I even had one run that ended in $76,000, but I was honestly starting to get a little bored during that run. The game is just too simplistic to stay engaging for the amount of playing required to reach $1 million. Eventually, you start to memorize all of the routes, and then it just becomes repetitive since you're no longer unlocking new maps and you're repeating the same ones over and over again. I play a lot of Crazy Taxi, and that game never really gets old because there's so much depth to it. Trying to weave through the traffic, doing drifts and jumps to rack up bonus money, then there's the strategy of taking the green customers versus the red customers. You're just more engaged, and there's a higher skill ceiling, so you always have room to grow. But I feel like once you unlocked all the maps in this game and you've gotten all the madman ranks, you've reached a point where you've sort of hit the skill ceiling and there's not much more to it, which makes the grind to $1 million a bit more tedious. We do have a handful of achievements for playing as the special characters. These are characters that normally you would unlock by playing the game on a certain day, like Halloween Bart if you played on Halloween. But there's also cheat codes you can enter in the options menu to unlock these characters at any time. The only drawback is if you use a cheat code, the money you earn doesn't get added to your total. So if you're trying to optimize the grind, you're better off adjusting the time on your console or your emulator if possible, or you can always adjust the time on your computer. But I was streaming this run, and I'm pretty sure messing with your computer's clock while you're streaming does weird stuff on Twitch, so I decided to just use the cheat codes. We don't have to get the madman ranks with these characters, we only have to earn $7,500 with each character, which by now we can do that with our eyes closed. I do love some of these cars though, especially the little Lego looking car. It's really funny picking people up in this tiny car. And then if you play as Smithers, the bus actually gets replaced by that little car, which is also really silly. After we finish all of the games with these characters, that's 6 more achievements down, and our final achievements are gonna come from the grind to $1 million. If you're playing the Gamecube version on retro achievements, you do have additional achievements for getting to a gazelle rank with every character on specific maps. That just requires $10,000, so it's a lot easier than going for the madman ranks. So this would be a good time to start knocking those out and at least give you some achievements to grab along the way. But even once you get all those, you're still gonna have at least another $500,000 to go, and that's just a big grind. There is a way to cheese the game and speed up the grind though if you've had your fill by now. On the Evergreen Terrace map, there's a small alley on the northeast side of the map, and at the end of the alley there's a passenger who wants to get dropped off at Smithers' apartment, which is literally right behind you, just a short 2-second drive away. You don't even have to turn around, you can just back up right to the destination. And as soon as you drop the passenger off, you can go right back where you found him and pick up another one from that same spot. And again, they're going to want you to go to Smithers' apartment. And you probably see where I'm going with this. You can repeat this trip as many times as you want. Each time you're adding more time to the clock than you're spending, as well as racking up money each drop off. But that's not even the best part. Eventually you'll have a bunch of time on the clock, and when you do, you can just park on top of a passenger and sit there. You earn money just by having them in your car, even if you don't drop them off. Granted, it's less money than actually completing the drop-off, but you can do this idly and sort of automate a chunk of the grind. And if your emulator has a speed up feature, you can even fast forward and cut the waiting down even more. Even using this trick though, it's gonna take about an hour to get to $100,000 if you aren't fast forwarding, which I wasn't doing because I have no idea why, but my fast forward toggle just never works on PCX2, which is the emulator that I use for PS2 games. So it doesn't completely negate the grind, but it does make it a little more bearable. Unfortunately, that trick only works on the PlayStation 2 version of the game. If you're playing the Gamecube version, then you're gonna have to grind it out the old-fashioned way. But speaking of the Gamecube version, I figured I should talk about one achievement on there in particular that's giving a lot of people trouble, and that's for getting the Gazelle rank with Willie on Springfield Mountain. Getting a Gazelle rank is pretty easy for every other driver. You just need $12,500, so it's not even the $15,000 for the Madman ranks. But Willie is a special case because his car is one of the worst ones. It has very slow acceleration, so mistakes are a lot more heavily punished, and Springfield Mountains is already a difficult map to begin with. A user on Retro Achievements shared this guide for a cheese strat where you can jump this gorge to drop off a passenger, and then once you do, you can hit the Z button to reset your car, and that puts you back in front of the ramp. And from there, you can back up and pick up another passenger in the tunnel who will want to go over the gorge again, and then you can repeat that over and over. But personally, I found this to be a lot more difficult. Since this acceleration is so slow, you have to hit that ramp just right to actually clear the jump, and frankly, I couldn't get that down. What helped me get this one is taking a specific route at the beginning, starting with the first passenger you see, and then once you drop them off at the burning tire, pick up the passenger to the left. They're going to want to go to the giant toilet, so take them there, but when you drop them off, don't grab the very next passenger. Grab the one to the right, because they're always going to be one of the ones that gives you a road rage bonus. And they're going to want to go to Mr. Burns' mansion, and getting a road rage along there is easy enough, so that's a quick $1,000. But from here, instead of grabbing the next passenger, drive down the hill and pick up this other one. There's a good chance they're also going to want to go to Mr. Burns' mansion, and then you can repeat this cycle a few times. If you're really lucky, you'll get a second road rage bonus, which you can again easily get, as well as a +2 seconds from the nearby bus stop. You can't do this forever. Eventually you're going to get a passenger who wants to go over the gorge, but you're giving yourself a good head start by following this route. From there though, it's just about playing perfectly. This one takes the most practice because any small mistake is more heavily punished when using Willie. There's also a little bit of RNG at play because from the gorge, every passenger is going to want to go to the gas station, and there's a chance you get a passenger there who wants to go to the KBBL radio station, which is just a terrible location that's going to cost you some time. And there's no other passenger nearby to take, so you're just at the mercy of RNG on this one. But this is the only achievement that's pretty difficult. The rest of the achievement set on the Gamecube version is just as easy as the PlayStation 2 version. But I saw in the comments section a lot of people were struggling with this one, so I figured I'd share some tips for all the Gamecube players watching. But getting back to our grind on the PlayStation 2, we're back to Evergreen Terrace, and after delivering the entire town of Springfield to Smith's apartment, for what I can only assume is the biggest party ever, we pick up our last milestone achievements all the way up to $1 million, and once the final achievement popped, we have officially mastered the Simpsons Road Rage, making this my 18th mastery on Retro Achievements. Despite that final grind being a bit of a slog, I still think this is a really fun game. It's got its quirks that could be annoying to deal with, but the core gameplay loop is still tons of fun. This game is definitely at its peak when you're still unlocking the different maps and cars. I'm glad I actually took the time to use a bunch of different characters. And I like that the Gamecube achievements require you to use them because some of the dialogue is just really funny. The achievement set is also pretty casual friendly. I'm probably going to go back and do the Gamecube version the next time I have the itch to play this, just for some extra achievements. So I'm glad I finally got to experience this game. And that brings us to the end of today's video, gamers. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, likes and comments are appreciated. Those engagements really do help the channel grow and reach more people. If you don't know what to comment, tell me what your favorite Simpsons character is. If you want to hang out with me live while we hunt down these achievements, then feel free to follow me over on Twitch. I try to stream once or twice a week, and it's always fun hanging out with you guys live over there while we hunt down some achievements. And if you're a fellow Retro Achievement user, you can feel free to follow me over on Retro Achievements if you want a sneak peek at what I'm currently playing for future videos. That's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Once again, I really hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.